weeks ago, we started a leaderboard for our dyno for Subarus only. We have an overall leaderboard, but since we do a lot of high horsepower Subaru builds, that's what we decided to do. This is one of our customers who we built a while back who decided to come in and see if he could make the leaderboard. It's a Precision 6266 Gen 2, so it's not a really big turbo, but on this car it tends to put out pretty good numbers. So we're going to turn the boost up to 11, and well, a lot more than 11, but you might get what I mean. We're going to turn the boost up to all of it, send it to the moon, and see what it'll do. Alright, as you might recognize from another video with the wagon, I put the wagon's intake on here because it's still in the shop getting some other stuff done. This had, again, it's a 4-inch intake, but inside there is not really a very good velocity stack. We're trying to get as much boost up top as possible out of this, since this is a very small turbo. It may not be able to quite make the boost we want. We're hoping for about 40 pounds out the top. If we can't get there, it's not going to make the power that we want. So if we can get there, it'll do it. Now, if we can't get there with the intake like that, we may actually unbolt the axle back portion of the exhaust to see if we can get the last pound or two that we need. It's a pretty engine bay. Don't mind all this. This is all just dyno hookups. I got fuel pressure, boost reference, RPM, and I guess that's it, and then a ground. One more thing I did to try to get a little more boost, it had a 3-port controller, so I switched that out for a 4-port controller. It's not permanently installed yet. I just want to make sure it's going to work. But that hopefully will let me get a little bit more boost at the top. So, owner says tacos are on their way. Oh, that's funny. Anyone who says bribery doesn't ever get you anywhere has never met me. We're about to put down some horsepower after a taco break. Thanks, Jared. That's awesome. Well, the final answer here for today, I can't let it leave like this, unfortunately. It's way over the edge of the fuel system. 782.74 horse and 626.15 torque. Power band's good and long. It did start leaning out up top, so I had to actually lift. This car typically makes peak power closer to 8,000, although with that 6266 on full moon boost, I had it ramping up to just over 41 pounds up at Redline. I actually think I can get a little more boost out of it if I had the fuel system. I could probably get this car well into the 800s on a 6266. Let's look at some of the features on this build, just because people are going to want to know. First thing I do want to mention about this is this still has an exhaust. This is a full street car, 3-inch to dual 3-inch outlet in the rear exhaust. There's no dumps, there's nothing fancy going on as far as the exhaust goes. It comes out of this, it's a ETS, the brand new ETS header, up pipe, rotated turbo kit with downpipe tile MVR gate, single tile MVR gate, no creep on this 6266. It is running this custom velocity stack. It's not how it's going to leave again, but we were just trying to get a good number on the dyno. Cobb 4-bar map sensor, which is tapped. Be another thing to upgrade if we wanted to try to make a little bit more boost out of this. But yeah, some of the fuel system components on here are pretty lacking. This was all built originally when this car had like a 500 horsepower goal, not a 800-900 horsepower goal. So we've just got a TurboSmart FPR 800 with a single, so Y is there and comes in a single side -6 here, which is actually working pretty well because the regulator is so small. It's not able to return a lot of fuel, but you can see I've got that screw pretty far down because we're trying to run a lot of base pressure because this just has FIC 1650 injectors. They're not 2200s like I would like to see for, again, the kind of power this thing is making. So if he wants more power, we got to do some pretty serious fuel system upgrades. In the tank, I believe it's dual Walbro 450s. I don't know if they're the high pressures or not. It does have a radium hanger. Otherwise, as far as mods go, this is an ETS front mount kit. It has been modified. The pipes have, some of them have, I should say, because of some fitment issues that we had, not with the ETS kit, but with everything else that's on the car. ETS kits fit great. It's just when you're trying to cram, like you can see, we have literally no room between the catch can and that pipe. Some other small little things. Cosworth intake manifold. It's a good manifold. It flows good up top. There's a lot of internet debates about whether it's really that good or not, but it looks really good. And it's definitely not hurting anything. Little TurboSmart V-port. You don't need a lot of blow-off valve on these cars. They tend to work just fine. Let's see. This is a PRE Racing Pro Drag engine. The heads are, I believe this car has GSE Stage 3 cams, so it's got the big boy cams in it. It's a 2013 STI, in case anybody wanted to know. This still has PCV. You can see there's actually a check valve down there. So it still has street car PCV. Yeah. I want to real quick talk about this 800 horsepower goal and why we weren't really able to achieve it. I do believe that the turbo has the potential to make that, and this setup has the potential, but as we went up in boost down here, you can see we went up, you know, almost 3 pounds in boost. The air fuel leans out because our fuel pressure didn't go up. So the fuel pressure is actually dropping. It's up here around 80 psi at peak, and then it drops down to 70. So we're losing about 10 pounds, but it seems like as we raise boost, this is as much as these pumps will flow. Now, if I could lower the overall base pressure on the pumps, they'd be able to flow more up top. So let's take a quick look at a fuel pump flow diagram. All right, so here's this flow diagram from Map Performance. They're just posting up the Walbro diagram for you. What you can see is as we come up, this isn't a great one because it's not, I can't select it, but as you can see, as we come up to 70 psi and actually 80 psi, we see a pretty significant drop in pressure across the pump. We're up here at 300 liters per hour at 70, like about 320 at 70. Well, over here it has the chart. So at 70, we are at, oops, there we go, 316 liters per hour, but then at 80 we're at 285, and it drops off pretty significantly as the current draw goes up rapidly as well. And that's what we're seeing. So if we could lower the base pressure so that we'd be hitting, you know, somewhere down here, we'd see a significant increase in fuel pump flow. Now, why can't we lower the base pressure? It's because the injectors we're running are only 1650s. And so we have to raise the base pressure to effectively increase the size of the injector in order to flow enough fuel. And you can see this pump after 90 psi, it just totally falls on its face. I actually think my dyno, I think this is off a little bit because it was saying that the base pressure was 55. So yeah, you can see our pumps are actually stalling out up in here. They should be making more than that at 38, 40 pounds of boost. We should be seeing even more of an increase, 55 up to 85, 90. So, but then when you look at this chart, you see why at 90, they basically stall out. And that's what we're running into. So we need to be able to get the base pressure down. In order to get the base pressure down, we need bigger injectors. So with bigger injectors, possibly more fuel pump, probably just bigger injectors would be enough. We should see enough fuel, but we're not going to do that today. It's a lot of money for another maybe 20 or 30 horsepower. The overall power on the car came out really well. You know, 782 horsepower is nothing to scoff at, so we're gonna leave it there. 800 is definitely in this car's future at some point, but more than likely the customer will want a different turbo before we try to push it any further. So it's not crazy. Olin's shocks, actually Olin's coilovers, because, you know, balling out of control. This is a kind of a fun AOS we built for this customer. It actually has the coolant header tank built into it, which heats the can to help get condensation out of it. It doesn't do a lot of swirling. There is like a bevel inside there, an angled plate, so that when it comes in, it has to go underneath it and come back up around to vent. But you don't see a lot of vent. You don't see, there's not a whole bunch of oil around it, so you know it's working pretty well as far as keeping oil vapor in the can, and then it actually does drain back. This car has, because precision turbos do have a tendency to smoke, we did install this TurboSmart OPR 40. These things work really good on these Subarus. Keeping the oil pressure a little bit lower into the turbo seems to really help with that typical precision smoking issue that you always hear about. Otherwise, it's a stock STI 6-speed. I believe it's even stock driveline. At this power level, that probably won't hold up. I don't know, it looks like this bolt rattled loose on the dyno today. But yeah, probably, I'm not sure which radiator that is, if it's a Koyo or a Mishimoto or what. Stock fans. Yeah, lots of little dress up bits. And there's that TurboSmart I do need to finish mounting. That was the ticket for me getting more boost out of the top. I was able to get more boost than I've ever been able to get out of the top end on this car. So anyway, yeah, it's a beautiful car. It's a nice day for boost. It's kind of cool. It's a little bit humid, which helps with knock resistance. So thanks for watching, guys. This isn't a tech tip or anything. This is just a cool car that's going on the leaderboard. So make sure that you give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Keep giving you guys these badass Subaru street cars. Look at the interior. It's got nice Recaro seats. This car's got a lot of audio equipment. It's got a sweet little GPS. I think it even has like a shortwave for a ham radio. Yeah, it's got some cool stuff. So thanks for checking it out.